A very good evening and welcome to the national broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
A very good evening, I am Dishan Veerakon and we start off by taking a look at your top stories for tonight.
Purchasing of paddy in the northwestern farmer zone commences. Cooperative societies will begin purchasing of paddy from tomorrow. The GovapiAruna program launched. 5 national coordinating committees set up under the Vadasamaga Yaligamata program. A new UK coronavirus variant found from the country. A media war erupts between China and Britain.
On to those and other stories in detail now, starting with your local stories. Cooperative societies will commence purchasing paddy of the Maha season from tomorrow. The government has provided 2.2 billion rupees for cooperative societies to purchase paddy. Meanwhile, the government has allocated more than 16.6 billion rupees to purchase 300 metric tons of paddy. During a media briefing in Colombo today, State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna said that lands have been drawn up to provide rice at lower prices for consumers. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna said that a loan at a concessionary interest rate of 4% will be given to cooperative societies to purchase paddy. He said that accordingly 30 metric tons of paddy will be purchased for Sabaragamuwa province, 1,600 metric tons for Northwestern province and 3,700 metric tons for Northern province. He said that they implement the program with a target of purchasing 45,000 metric tons in the season, with 4,000 metric tons from the Northern province, 659 metric tons from Eastern province, 1,400 metric tons from the Central province and 645 metric tons from Southern province. He further said that government has allocated 2.5 billion rupees to purchase paddy. Meanwhile, purchase of paddy in northwestern farmer zone has commenced. The zone include Puttlam, Kurunegala, Gampaha and Matale district. 25,000 metric tons from Kurunegala district, 11,000 from Puttlam and 2,000 metric tons from Gampaha district are scheduled to be purchased. The Paddy Marketing Board said that a kilo of Samba and Kiri Samba paddy will be purchased for 52 rupees and a kilogram of Nadu paddy will be purchased for 50 rupees. Harvesting in 22,000 acres of paddy and 2,000 acres of peanuts and chilies and maize at the South Kiran Divisional Secretariat area in Batikalo has commenced. The farmers said that they have received a good harvest this time. However, they have to face difficulties when transporting their product to the market since a 30-kilometer stretch of the road from Kiran Junction to Thoppikala has not been repaired.
Now the GovapiAruna program to collect funds to renovate the Govapi Stupa commenced today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Now the ceremony to launch the program was held at the Sri Sambodhi Temple in Colombo 7. Govapi Stupa is the 4th biggest stupa in the country, which has been built by King Sadda Tissa. The renovations have been planned on a request from Chief Monk of the Govapi Temple, Venerable Mahaoya Sobita Thera. The project is scheduled to be completed within 3 years. Funds from the treasury will not be utilized for the renovations of the stupa. Local and foreign donors can make financial and labour contributions. The Mahasangha, led by Anunayak of the Siam Mahanikaya, Venerable Vendaruwe Upali Thera, chanted Set Pirit and invoked blessings. A member of the Dayaka Sabha, Chandrakirthi Bandara, handed over a cheque for 100 million rupees to the President, donated by Venerable Angul Maduwe Arya Dhammathera as the first financial contribution to the GovapiAruna program. the Buddhist channel donated 5 million rupees. The three armed forces, police, civil defence force, Bank of Ceylon, Mahargama Apeksha Hospital and owner of the central bearings, Sudat Tennakon, handed over donations to the president. Plans have also been drawn up to build a 20-roomed rest house with 4 halls for the convenience of pilgrims. The Mahasangha, led by Mahanayaka of Ramani Mahanikaya, Most Venerable Makulave Vimala Thera, Mahanayaka of Amarapura Chulagandhi Chapter, Most Venerable Gantune Asaji Thera, Chief Monk of Mirisavatiya Temple, Venerable Itala Vatunuve Yanatilaka Thera, Venerable Ellavala Medananda Thera, Minister Sarath Veerasekara, State Minister Vidura Vikramanayaka, President's Chief Advisor Lalit Veeratunga, Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunratna, commanders of the three armed forces, heads of security authorities and a group of state officials were present at the ceremony.
Meanwhile, the Buddhist Rights Commission report was handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today at his official residence on Vijayarama Mawatha in Colombo. The commission, which was set up on Poson Full Moon Poe Day in 2018 at Mihintale Sacred Area, gathered evidence for more than 2 years and prepared the report. The report, which was handed over by the chairman of All Ceylon Buddhist Congress, Jagat Sumatipala, chairman of the Buddhist Rights Commission, retired Attorney General Palitha Fernando and commission members were present on the occasion. The book, Buddhist History and a Centenary of Buddhist Summits were presented to the Prime Minister. Venerable Magan Kande Sudat Thera, pointing out that local heritage belongs to all communities, requests Prime Minister to include places of archaeological values into Tamil medium education. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa instructed Secretary to the Ministry Professor Kapila Gunawardena to look into include paragraphs on national education into Tamil medium educational material. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa opened Putlam Arachikattua Lanka Seafood Factory yesterday. Lanka Seafood Company, which exports fish products, employs about 600 people. The Prime Minister observed the processing of fish products. Lanka Seafood will allow local customers in future to purchase export quality products through an island-wide network in future. State Ministers Sanath Nishantha, Lohan Ratwatte, parliamentarians Chintaka Mayadunne, Ashoka Patirana and Chairman Sarath Kitsiri were present on this occasion. The new fish production factory of Ceylon Catch Private Company was opened by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Dankotua area yesterday. The company exports its products to the US, Japan, Canada, China, Thailand and Taiwan. It earns an annual income of $12 million through fish exports. They expect an annual income of $15 million through the new factory and hopes to increase exports targets by threefold in next 3 years. State Ministers Sanath Nishantha, Lohan Ratwatte and the Director Board of Ceylon Catch Private Company attended the event.
In the meantime, Justice Minister Ali Sabri said in Parliament today that steps will be taken to change outdated Muslim laws soon. He said that if it is needed to change all personal laws, those can be included in the proposed new constitution. Justice Minister Ali Sabri said that although the women's age to marry is 12 years according to Muslim law, they can marry after attaining age with consent. He said that a cabinet paper has been submitted for Muslim children to get married at 18 years, similar to others in the country. Meanwhile, condolence motions of late parliamentarians Surangani Ellavala, KP Silva and Kapila Aberatna were presented in Parliament by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මුස්ලිම් නීතිය සංශෝධනය කිරීම සඳහා අපි කටයුතු කරනවා. පුද්ගල නීති සියල්ල අහෝසි කිරීමට උත්සාහ කරනවා නම් සමාජ කතිකාවක් ඇතුව අලුත් ව්‍යවස්ථාවත් එක්ක අපිට ඒක සිදු කරන්න.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that Mrs. Surangani Ellavala, who was the wife of renowned leftist leader Nanda Ellavala, worked closely in politics as well as personally. He said that the new parliamentarians can take many examples from the political life of late member KP Silva. The Prime Minister said that late parliamentarian Kapila Abeyratne rendered a commendable service to the people in Ratnapura as a representative of leftist politics.
Sri Lanka's economy is managed through new policies in an alternative day, but critics are using the downturn seen in the second quarter of 2020 to make doom and gloom predictions for 2021. Central Bank Governor W.D. Lakshman said, addressing a press briefing, he said that the alternative policy now being deployed seemed to be criticizing based on a political or ideological basis. He said it was important to have a positive view. He pointed out a pick-up in business confidence have been seen in purchasing managers' index.
We are all aware of the first and the second waves of COVID-19, and as a result, in 2020, we might end up with an overall negative growth of about 3.9%. 3.9 is what we expect for the whole year. As you all know, in the second quarter, there was a very large decline in the economy. That is why the entire year goes into a smaller but negative growth process. But we expect, as a result of the policies that are being adopted, in 2021, the year we are in, we'll end up with 5.5 to 6% growth. This positive thinking is due to a number of reasons. Unlike in the first wave of COVID-19, in the second wave appears to be the decision of the health authorities and the government to go for only limited closures of the economy. Limited closures. Earlier there were countrywide lockdowns, but not this time. Then there is the vaccination process which has started giving positive signals that the entire population will get this facility sooner than later. And there are other various stimulus measures that have been introduced by the government, some of them with the assistance of the central bank. The government's interest and government's determination to move away from the so far existing heavy dependence on imports for foodstuffs. This is indeed a really significant long-term policy approach, in spite of the fact that in the short run there could be some adverse impacts in terms of prices and all. The interest rate story is extremely significant for promoting economic growth in the country. The prime rate last week was at 5.59%. In any case, almost all interest rates are at single-digit level, and this has been there at that level for quite some time. There is still excess liquidity in the market, estimated at more than 100 billion rupees, which will be a positive factor in our attempt to promote lending to private sector parties, particularly business lending by the banks. In 2020, a very rare thing has happened, although it was still affected by COVID-19. The rare thing was that we achieved a decline in the current account deficit. And in one of the quarters, I think quarter 3, there was a surplus in current account. A very rare thing in Sri Lanka. So this rare thing, we hope we should be able to achieve again during this year, or at least by next year. There are a number of negotiations going on with overseas agencies to raise some of the required foreign exchange inflows through swaps and loans and that sort of mechanisms. Negotiations with overseas central banks, overseas banks and other agencies, multilateral agencies included, though IMF is not there in that list yet. So we are hopeful that these policies, plus in order to fill gaps, some of these negotiations for foreign loans, and other SOPs and that sort of arrangements. These all together will enable us to move through these couple of years to go in for the required rapid growth, shared growth kind of environment we expect to establish by 2024, 2025.
In the meantime, Director of the Microbiology and Immunology of the Jawaharlal University, Dr. Chandima Jeevandar, said that the new coronavirus variant was found from several areas in the country. He said that the new variant was found after analyzing 92 reports in January. The samples for tests have been obtained from Colombo, Avisavella, Ingiriya, Biyagama, Wattala, Matugama, Mana, Vavuniya and from persons who have returned from overseas. After the test, it has been found that the new virus variant was present in Colombo, Avisavella, Biyagama and Vavuniya. Several people who have returned from overseas have also been infected with the new virus variant. AstraZeneca vaccine under COVID-19 vaccination program has been given to 178,087 persons. 1,362 persons have been vaccinated yesterday. Meanwhile, Chairperson of the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol, Dr. Samadhi Rajapaksa, says that it is essential to refrain from consuming alcohol and smoking after COVID-19 vaccinations. The number of recoveries from COVID-19 has reached 66,984. It is a percentage of 90.96. Another 8.53% of patients is under treatment, which includes 6,281 patients. Another 528 COVID-19 patients were detected in the island today. 4 more COVID-19 related deaths were reported yesterday. The victims were residents of Colombo 5, Kotahena and Udathala Vinna areas.
The European Union and the World Health Organization yesterday said they would spend 40 million euros over 3 years to ensure better access to COVID-19 vaccines in Armenia, Azerbaijan and Belarus, Georgia and Moldova and Ukraine.
The European Union and the World Health Organization will spend 40 million euros, just under $50 million, over the next 3 years to ensure better access to COVID-19 vaccines in poorer countries in the region. The WHO Regional Director for Europe, Hans Kluge, told a virtual news briefing on Thursday that Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine will benefit from the initiative, which focuses on readiness, information campaigns, supplies and health worker training.
At this point, the overwhelming majority of European countries remain vulnerable. Right now, it's a thin line between the hope of a vaccine and a false sense of security. Based on information from 29 out of the 37 countries currently vaccinating in the European region today, 7.8 million people have completed their immunization series. That is equivalent to only 1.5% of the population of those 29 countries.
The two-dose AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine developed with Oxford University had been clouded by doubts after a small study showed it was less effective at preventing mild or moderate disease with the fast-spreading South African variant of the virus. Kluge said while the variant was of particular concern, it was not yet widespread in the region but needs to be monitored carefully.
Meanwhile, the New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern today said the country's COVID-19 inoculation program will likely begin on February 20th, brought forward by earlier receipt on the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine than originally anticipated.
New Zealand will begin vaccinating its population starting next week. That's according to Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who confirmed a receipt date for the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine.
I have good news. This morning I can confirm that New Zealand's first batch of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine is set to arrive in New Zealand next week, well within our scheduled time frame and ahead of previous expectations. That means we should be in a position, all things going to plan, to start vaccinating our border workers from next Saturday, the 20th of February.
Ardern added that some 12,000 border workers and their families will receive the vaccine first, followed by at-risk groups of healthcare workers, elderly, and those with medical conditions. Her announcement comes amid pressure to start inoculating the country's 5 million people, as New Zealand is one of the few countries that has virtually eliminated the virus. Neighboring Australia has also formally approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Leaders say they expect to start inoculations by the end of this month, without giving a specific date. Australia and New Zealand had hoped to open a travel bubble between the two countries by the end of March. Fresh outbreaks in Australia have stalled those plans. Ardern said border restrictions could be eased if there was evidence that vaccines reduce transmission.
Now taking a look at more stories here at home. Now the government has taken steps to set up 5 national coordinating committees to take policy decisions by further strengthening the President's Gama Samaga Pirisandarak Thuling Vada Samaga Yaligamata program. Now the responsibility of national coordinating committees is to provide speedy solutions to the national level development issues for which solutions could not be obtained through divisional and district committees. Now, the attention was paid during National Coordinating Subcommittee discussions at the Temple Trees. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Elimination, Basil Rajapaksa, requested the heads of the National Coordinating Subcommittees to provide speedy solutions to national level development problems which could not be solved by village, regional and district committees. An entry should be made through the ministries according to national subcommittees. The inter-coordination activities between ministries and state organizations should be strengthened when taking policy decisions. The main aim of establishing national coordinating subcommittees is to accelerate economic development at village and national level. The coordinating committees are consisted of cabinet ministers, state ministers and high-ranking state officials relevant to policy compilation. They have been named as agriculture, livelihood, infrastructure, social infrastructure, public security and social development. The divisional coordinating committees have also been divided into 5 subcommittees. Under the agriculture subcommittee, there are 6 cabinet ministers and 12 state ministers. Livelihood subcommittee includes 7 cabinet ministers and 10 state ministers. Now the infrastructure subcommittee includes 11 cabinet and state ministers. There are 8 cabinet ministers and 3 state ministers in the public security and social development subcommittee. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa is the chairman of the agriculture subcommittee. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva is the chairman of the livelihood subcommittee. Minister Johnston Fernando is the chairman of the infrastructure subcommittee and Minister G.L. Peris is the chairman of the social infrastructure subcommittee. Minister Janaka Bandara Tennakon is the chairman of the Public Security and Social Development Subcommittee. The subcommittees are scheduled to meet monthly. The National Coordinating Committee is expected to solve issues through policy decisions that cannot be solved by village committees, and divisional coordinating committees appointed according to the Gama Samaga Pirisandarak Thuling Vada Samaga Yali Gamata program.
The Committee on Public Enterprise, or COPE, has informed Sri Lanka Cricket to come prepared with 1 month for inquiries. The COPE committee, which met yesterday, suspended its sittings to inquire about Sri Lanka Cricket since the officials did not arrive prepared. The committee met to examine the audit report of Sri Lanka Cricket in financial year 2017-2018 and its present task. Minister Mahinda Amaravira, Mahindananda Alutgamage, State Minister Indika Anuruddha, Ajit Niwal Kapral, Dr. Nalaka Gotaheva, parliamentarians Partali Champika Ranavaka, Jagat Pushpakumara, Iran Vikramaratna, Plemarat C. Dolavatta and S. Rasamanika attended the meeting headed by Chairman Professor Charita Herath. The members of the committee inquired by the Sri Lanka Cricket about not submitting documents related to accepting contracts, dates to commence, dates to the end and unfinished work for contracts valuing more than 230 million rupees by 2017. Committees questioned them on not obtaining an income of 29 million rupees due to sponsorships rights of 2018 South Africa-Sri Lanka tour. The committee pointed out that there are faults in agreement of requiring Chandika Hathurusinghe as the main trainer. It was revealed at the committee that Chandika Hathurusinghe has already taken legal action as Sri Lanka Cricket and spent 20 million rupees as legal fee. The COPE committee paid a special attention on Sri Lanka Cricket not submitting its reports to Parliament for several years. Professor Charitha Herath said they had observed many problems since financial administration of Sri Lanka Cricket has not been methodical.
Now, a committee has been appointed to specifically decide and to present a methodology to identify Sri Lanka's national heritage. The committee appointed by the cabinet is consisted of 16 intellectual veterans. The committee has made proposals related to national heritage. Public views are scheduled to be obtained for the criteria identified in the proposals. The criteria can be obtained from all regional and district secretariats and can be downloaded from www.lotuspond.lk and www.towerhall.lk websites. The proposals should be presented before the 22nd of this month to the following address: Secretary, National Heritage, State Ministry of Performing Arts and Folk Artist Promotions, 4th floor, Sitsiripaya, Phase 2, Patharamulla. Further inquiries can be obtained over telephone numbers 071 164 5973, 011 209 3804 and fax number 011 218 7121. Now, taking a look at another local story, the funeral of late veteran artist Jalal Rohana will be held on Sunday at General Cemetery in Burrell. The remains of late artist Jalal Rohana, which are lying at his residence at Ganemulla Kosinna, will be brought to Sudarshi Hall in Colombo tomorrow. Late Mr. Jalal Rohana, who studied at Kote Ananda Shastralaya, was a graduate of the Peradeniya University. He obtained his master's degree in drama and performing arts from the Kelaniya University. Entering the stage at a young age, Mr. Jalal Rohana won the award for Best Actor for his acting in Muhudu Giya School Drama in the All Island School Drama Competition at the age of 13 years. He acted in many stage dramas including Gangavak, Sapattu Kabalak and Maranaya, Garu Kathanayaka Thumani, Kalani Palama and Socrates. He entered acting in television dramas in 1986 and received an immense response for his character Muthumina in Isuru Yoga teledrama. And that's the wrap of tonight's primetime news, and until we meet again next time, do take care and good night.
Good night.
Live your best life every day with the Smart Network. Hutch, go smart.